You think your job is bad. Maybe your boss is annoying. Maybe the coffee machine broke again. Maybe you have to sit through a 3 hour meeting that could have been an email. That's cute. Because at some point in human history, someone woke up every single morning, looked at their day, and thought, yes, this is fine. This is my life now. And their job was to collect human urine from strangers' houses with a bucket, by hand. Let's talk about the most disgusting jobs that actually existed. Real professions, real people, real paychecks. Well, sometimes, and real smells that no amount of time has been able to erase from the historical record. We're going from bad to somehow worse. Let's get into it. Number 5, the Gong farmer, England. Somewhere between the 13th and 17th century. Night has fallen. Everyone is asleep. And somewhere under the city, a man is thigh deep in human waste. His job title? Gong farmer. His actual job? Climb down into the cesspits beneath wealthy homes and castles and manually remove everything that had been dropped in there for the past year. By hand, with shovels, sometimes with just their arms. The cesspits could be 6, 8, 10 feet deep, filled with months of accumulated waste from entire households. The gases alone, hydrogen sulfide, methane, could knock a man unconscious before he even touched the bottom. Some of them never came back up. They were only allowed to work at night so the smell wouldn't disturb the people whose waste they were removing. During the day, they had to stay away from populated areas entirely. They were paid well, actually, because nobody else would do it. And every single morning, they went home, presumably tried to wash off, and went to sleep, knowing they'd be back underground before sunrise. Number 4, the Urine Collector, ancient Rome. You are walking down the street and you see a large clay pot sitting on the corner. It's not a planter, it's a public urinal, and when it's full, someone comes to collect it. That someone had a job, a real, legitimate, economically important job. Because urine was valuable. Deeply, absurdly valuable. Roman urine was used in two major industries. First, the textile industry. Fullers, the people who cleaned and processed wool, soaked cloth in fermented urine and then stomped on it with their bare feet for hours. The ammonia broke down grease and softened the fibers. There was no substitute. Second, the tanning industry used it to soften animal hides. And dentists? Yes, Roman dentists used fermented urine as a whitening agent for teeth. The demand was so high that Emperor Vespasian placed a tax on the urine trade. When his son complained that the tax was disgusting, Vespasian held up a gold coin and said, Pecunia non olet. Money doesn't smell. The collectors didn't get that luxury. They hauled the pots, transported the fermented liquid across the city, and delivered it to fullers and tanners who needed it fresh, or rather, not fresh, aged. The older, the better. Number 3, the plague bearer's assistant. Europe. The Black Death has arrived, and nobody knows what it is or how to stop it. Bodies are everywhere, in the streets, in the houses, in the churches. Someone has to move them. The corpse collectors, called various names across different regions, walked through cities during the height of the plague with carts and collected the dead. They rang a bell. They shouted, Bring out your dead! They loaded bodies onto carts with hooks, often without touching them directly, because everyone understood by now that touching the dead was a fast way to join them. The smell was catastrophic. In summer, in medieval cities with no sanitation, a body left for even a few days became unrecognizable. These men were often criminals given a choice. Do this job and earn your freedom, or stay in prison. Many chose the cart. Some survived, many didn't. And the ones who did survive were banned from entering taverns, churches, and markets while the plague was active. They were paid, fed, and completely isolated from the rest of society. They walked through the worst outbreak in human history every single day. And then they went home to a separate house on the edge of town, alone, because nobody wanted to be near them. Number 2, the Leech Collector, 19th century Europe. Medicine has progressed. Sort of. Doctors have decided that leeches are the answer to almost everything. Fever? Leeches. Headache? Leeches. Inflammation? Leeches. Unexplained sadness? Probably also leeches. The demand for leeches exploded across Europe, and someone had to collect them. That someone was usually a woman. She would walk into swamps, lakes, and marshes, roll up her skirts or trousers, and wade in barefoot. Or sometimes she'd use a horse. The leeches would attach to the legs, sense the warmth and blood, and latch on immediately. Then she would peel them off, one by one, into a jar. A productive day meant collecting hundreds of leeches from her own legs while standing in cold, muddy water for hours. The wounds left behind bled significantly because leeches inject an anticoagulant, a chemical that stops blood from clotting while they feed. So after a full day of work, her legs would be covered in small bleeding punctures that wouldn't stop on their own. She went home bleeding. She came back the next day because the demand never stopped. Number one, the fuller. We mentioned them briefly with the urine collectors, but they deserve their own moment. Ancient Rome, medieval Europe, everywhere cloth was made and worn. The fuller's job was to clean and process raw wool into usable fabric. Simple enough on paper. In practice, they stood in large stone vats filled with a mixture of water, clay, and fermented human urine. And they stomped for hours, every single day. The urine was collected fresh from the public pots on the street. The older and more fermented, the better it worked. The ammonia content was higher. It cut through grease, lanolin, and dirt that cold water couldn't touch. The smell inside a fullery was so extreme that Roman law actually required fullers to set up their businesses away from residential areas. They were regulated by smell. Their entire profession was legally defined as too disgusting to be near people. And yet, Rome could not function without them. Every toga, every garment, every piece of fabric worn by senators and emperors had passed through the hands and under the feet of someone who spent their days standing in fermented urine. They knew what they were walking in. They did it anyway. Here's the thing about all of these people. They weren't desperate outcasts stumbling through life. Most of them were skilled workers in essential industries. They had knowledge, techniques, and in some cases, they were well compensated. They just also happened to spend every working hour in conditions that would make a modern person pass out. You exist because civilizations kept functioning. And civilizations kept functioning because someone was always willing to do the job nobody else wanted. So next time your job feels unbearable, your inbox is full, your commute is long, your coworkers are loud, remember the man standing thigh deep underground at midnight with a shovel and nowhere to be except exactly where he was. Thanks for watching Just About Human. If your ancestors survived all of that, the least you can